Hello and welcome to this next tutorial on the types of interviews. The three types of interviews. The first one is the standing interview. The second one is the side by side interview, and the third one is the sit down interview. The difference between these three interviews is basically the placement of the actual person you're interviewing. In the first one, the standing interview, the actual reporter is basically facing the person being interviewed, and the camera person is shoulder to shoulder to the reporter. In the second type of interview, the side by side interview, the person being interviewed and the reporter are next to each other, almost shoulder to shoulder. They are. And the camera person is on the other side, shooting the both of them. The sit down interview is pretty similar to the first one, which was the standing interview, except that they're sitting down. So the actual reporter is facing the actual person being interviewed, and the camera person is next to the reporter, shoulder to shoulder, but the camera is at a lower angle because the reporter and the person being interviewed are sitting down. So the camera has to be at eye level. Those are the three types of interviews. And when do you do these interviews? Well, the sit down interview can be done in a package situation where you have a package that you're doing a package and you have a soundbite. And it's usually more of a formal setting. You go into someone's office and you sit down and you do the interview. You have to be careful with that type of interview because you don't want to be, if you have only a handheld microphone, you don't want to be reaching over to the over the desk so you could reach the person. Remember that microphone has to be pretty close to them in order to get good audio. So you may want to just set up two chairs facing each other, and the person sits in one of them, the person being interviewed, and then the reporter sits on the other one, and the camera person is right next to the reporter, shooting side by side to the actual person being interviewed. You could do it that way, or if you have a lavalier mic, then you can go ahead and, even though they are the person being interviewed is behind the desk, you can also put the lavalier mic, and you don't have to be reaching over with your handheld microphone. So that should be done in that fashion. The standing interview, which is where the reporter is facing the person being interviewed and the camera person is shoulder to shoulder to the reporter. That one can be done with a handheld microphone because you are in very close proximity to the person being interviewed. Just make sure not to get your hand in the microphone. You can get the top part of the mic, but not your hand. And then the other one, the side by side, is used mostly when you want to emulate or do like a live shot where basically the person is standing, the reporter is standing next to the person being interviewed and they're introducing them. That's probably the one that's least used, but it can still be used because a lot of times we do use it for students that are maybe introducing a counselor or something like that. And then what happens is they say, "Here I am with so and so," and it's not so much a part of the package of a package. It's just part of a standalone interview where the anchors will say, "Now let's go to, Johnny with standing by with our new counselor," and it looks like it's a live shot. It almost looks like a live shot, but in our case, of course, we don't go live on the field. We go live in the studio. We don't have the capabilities of going live in the field, but it gives it that look like it's a like a live shot. And then the anchors at the end will say, "Okay, thank you very much," and then now back to you guys on the set. So it makes it look like they are actually live, and we have a camera live at maybe the counselor's office. But those are the three types of interviews. Just to recap, interview number one, basically, interview style number one is a standing interview. The reporter is facing the person being interviewed, and the camera person is side by side to the reporter. Interview number two is where you have a side by side interview where the reporter and the person being interviewed are standing side by side facing the camera person. You could also say that they are shoulder to shoulder, the reporter and the person being interviewed. And then the third one, which is a sit-down interview, very much similar to the first one, where you're standing right in front of them, but you're sitting across each other and the camera person is next to the reporter. So those are the three types or styles of interview that we mostly will use. I hope this tutorial is helpful. If you have any questions, you can always come and ask me, and I will expand a little bit on the explanation. Make sure to take notes, and good luck on the quiz.